Hey, so if you are in Illinois and you are actively working on passing your elementary teacher licensure exam, you should be aware of some big changes that are headed your way. These changes may impact the way you take the exam, the way you retake the exam if you do not pass, and the way you pass the exam. So let's jump right into what those changes are. All right, so the first change is an actual name change. So right now, the elementary exam specifically is labeled Elementary 305. That name is actually going to be shifting to Elementary 702. So you may see some overlap in the availability of these exams. So make sure that you are careful in selecting which exam you actually want to take, whether it's the 305 or it is the 702. The second change is a big one. Oh man, this is going to impact the way you actually not only study for this test, but the way you actually go in and take this test. So there are some formatting changes to this test. It seems as if the state Board of Ed, as well as Pearson, has actually listened to some of the feedback that has been provided to them, and they decided to make some changes. And I think these changes are going to be overall for all of the exams eventually, but they are starting with the elementary exam specifically. So let's talk about the differences between the format of the elementary 305 versus the format of the elementary 702. I got my notes in front of me, so if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. I want to make sure that I'm giving you all of the information that I have researched so that you are well aware and can make a well-informed decision on which exam you are going to be either taking or retaking. So the first format change is that the elementary 305, the current version of this test, is one big, large exam, right? You have about 4.5 hours to take this exam. I think there's about 150 or so multiple choice questions, and there's 6 sub areas. And so regardless of whether you do well on each sub area or not, if you do not meet that scale score of 240, you have to retake the exam all over again. Well, that's changing. And the change in the 702 is that it's no longer one giant test. It is now going to be divided into 6 testlets or mini tests for the entire exam. The good thing about having these mini tests or these testlets is that you can complete one at a time, or you can choose to complete all 6 at once. So there's some options there. That is not only going to help you financially, it is going to help you mentally as you prepare for studying for each of these sub areas. Speaking of financial relief, the sub area exam is $25 per sub area, or testlet, should I say. That's what they're called, testlets. It's $25 per testlet, as opposed to the current version of the 305 where you have to pay, I think it's about $122 to take the entire exam. So in the new version of this exam, the elementary 702, there's the 6 testlets, and the cost of each testlet is $25 each. Now, if you decide that you want to take all 6 at one time, that is a total of $150 to take all 6 at once. Now, in the previous version, or in the current version of this exam, the elementary 305, you had, I think, about 4 hours to take the exam. I may be wrong, but I'm going based off the ISB website or the Pearson website. I think it's about 4 hours, 4 or 4.5 hours. Now, in the new version, that is going to be shifting. So your maximum amount of time will depend on the sub area that, or the testlet that you are taking. So for example, the math testlet is about 90 minutes max, and the science testlet is about 45 minutes max. Again, it is a decrease in time. However, it is a mental weight that can be shifted because you're no longer studying for all 6 at once. You can study one testlet at a time or one sub area at a time and pass that sub area and keep going. The next change in format is the way this is scored. So the current version of the elementary exam, the elementary 305, is scored based on a scaled score of 240. So no matter what your score is on your sub areas, if you don't reach that 240, you have to take it all over again. Now, I didn't find a lot of information on the newer version of the exam, the 702, the way that's going to be scored. However, here's what I did find. They will use, or it will start to use, a bankable scoring model. So this allows you to lock in one testlet score and then focus on the next testlet. So let's say you are super weak in math, but you're very strong in science. You can take your science testlet, get your score. I'm not quite sure what the passing score for a testlet is. That I think that's still being developed, maybe. But you pass that, and then that's locked in. Boom. You never have to take science again. Now you can focus on your math skills, your math test strategies, and getting that math score up to where you need it to be. To me, that is a huge, huge improvement. I know for a fact, based on my experience with supporting teachers as they are taking these content exams, that this elementary exam is very, very difficult because there are so many sub areas. So this is a huge shift and a positive shift that's going to help each and every one of you laser focus on one subject area, or I'm sorry, on one sub area, rather than having to retake all at once. Huge news. I'm so happy that this is being put into effect. All right, the final change that you should be aware of that I've found thus far is that there is a grade band and sub area changes, right? So the current version, the elementary 305, covers grades 1st through 6th grade. So currently, if you want to teach anywhere between 1st and 6th grade, you are taking the elementary 305. The elementary 702 will shift, and it will expand to kindergarten through 6th grade. Now, there are some pros and cons with that, and we can talk about that in a later video. However, what you need to know that this grade band expansion also means an expansion in the sub areas. So the sub areas are now shifting from what they used to be. There's still 6 sub areas, but the new sub areas look a little bit different. The good thing is that they have already created the test framework. I will add the link to that in the description of this video so that you can take a look at it. But the sub areas are Foundations of Literacy, English Language Arts and Biliteracy, Math, Science, Social Studies, and then Art, Health, and Physical Development are all bunched into one sub area. So the biggest changes that I see is the addition of biliteracy and the addition of foundations of literacy. So that is something that you need to make sure that you are aware of and that you are brushing up on those study skills, particularly that you are brushing up on those study skills, particularly for early elementary. So if you are currently have a lot of experience teaching 4th or 5th grade, you're going to have to go back and start brushing up on those kindergarten skills, because that's definitely going to be embedded into the new exam. So what you need to be aware of is that there is some overlap in the availability of these exams. So the elementary 702 is set to take effect on July 1st, 2026. Okay, so that should be available for you to take as soon as July 1st, 2026. The elementary 305 is set to sunset in June of 2027. There wasn't really clear guidance on which exam you'll need to take because there is some overlap. So I urge you to reach out to your institution of higher education, reach out to their licensure officers specifically. They are there to provide guidance for you. I'm here for awareness. Don't listen to me. I'm making you aware, but the guidance, your actual instructions and directions should come from your licensure officer at your institution of higher education. Now, if you are not in a teacher preparation program, maybe you're taking a alternative route, I urge you to contact ISB directly so that they can provide guidance specifically on which exam you'll need to take, specifically during this overlap period. Again, I'm here for awareness. they are here for guidance. I hope this video helps you better understand the big shifts that are coming to the elementary licensure exam here in the state of Illinois. So whether you are taking this exam for the first time or you are retaking it again, that's okay. This new shift in the way this exam is formatted, the structure of the exam is going to really impact all test takers. And so make sure that you are aware of these changes. You are reading up on the updates that ISB provides. They provide it on their website. I'll also include that in the description below. So make sure you take a look at that. If this video has helped you, please like, share, subscribe to this channel. Again, the goal of this channel, the goal that I have for this channel is to start these conversations, have transparent conversations about how difficult this exam is, but create a community of support so that we can make sure that we are all getting over the hurdle. I'll be on your feeds again next week with a new tip, a new strategy. If there's something that you want to see specifically, please comment that in the comment section below. I read every single comment. I do my best to respond to every single comment because it is my goal to make sure that you get over this hurdle. I will see you all next week. Bye.